Good evening, participants. Pwede na ba tayo mag-start? Ano ba tayo? 13? Start na tayo? Or we'll wait for another 3 minutes ba? 7:33, start tayo.
We can start na tayo.
Now?
Yes po.
Okay. Good evening again, and we will start with the CID National Anthem. Please help me to play it, Sir Harwit.
So good evening once again, brothers and sisters. We are now on our third day. So I welcome you all to our third day. But to start our session in our program tonight, may I please join me in my prayer. Good evening to our most loving Heavenly Parent and victorious parents of heaven and earth and humankind. Loving Heavenly Parents, parents, as we all gather together with all our participants, our brothers and sisters, our dear elders and leaders, Heavenly Parent, we are very much grateful for this opportunity that you have opened and granted to all of us, Heavenly Parent. Thank you very much for allowing all the participants to be with us, Heavenly Parent, despite their busy schedule, Heavenly Parent, and despite all those tasks that they have to accomplish, Heavenly Parent. We are very grateful to have them with us, Heavenly Parent, learn together your words, Heavenly Parent, and to understand deeply and to become more connected to your Heavenly Parent. As we now start our program, Heavenly Parent, we sincerely pray that all of us, all our brothers and sisters, could really open up our hearts and mind, Heavenly Parent, and willingly and your words, Heavenly Parent, and the inspirations and your messages, Heavenly Parent, which we will be imparting to all of us, Heavenly Parent, through our lectures, Heavenly Parent. We would like to sincerely pray as well, Heavenly Parent, that may you continue to use our lectures to really deliver the message that you want our brothers and sisters to have Heavenly Parent ask for today, Heavenly Parent. Thank you very much once again for this wonderful opportunity that you have given to all of us, Heavenly Parent. And thank you also for continuously blessing and guiding and protecting all of us, Heavenly Parent. I would like to sincerely ask and pray all these things, Heavenly Parent, in true parents' name, Aju. Aju. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. Today I will just have I would just like to have to give a few reminders before we begin our lectures. So if we still remember the basic meeting guidelines that we just had last 2 days, yeah. Kindly, as much as possible, turn on your cameras for the entire session, for the entire program that we will be having. This will serve us our attendance and as well as to help motivate our dear lecturers as they give their lectures. And in that way, we can also see and monitor all of you have brothers and sisters. And next one, I hope brothers and sisters that you could use your real name, so please type in your real name, and this is to monitor as well and serve. This will serve as your attendance, Heavenly Parent. So and then kindly unmute yourselves as well for the duration of the lectures. In that way, our lecturers won't be distracted, and as well as our lecturers could, and then as well as not only our lecturers won't be distracted, but as well as our brothers and sisters. So this is a form of respect to all our brothers and sisters, and most especially to our lecturers. So I hope you were able to keep that down, and uh, please ready your pens and paper, and that way you can take down notes from the lectures and the slides as well. So again, with that being said, brothers and sisters, I hope you can all open your cameras because we will be having first our photo opportunity. So again, let's all take a picture together, brothers and sisters. So I hope everybody can open their cameras. So everyone, Ate Marilu, at Kuya Sandra Kyle, Mama, and Ate Carla, please open your cameras so we can take a picture before we start our program, our lecture. Okay lang, may... Hello po, Ate Marilu and Ate Carla. Are you there? No. Isa na lang, Ate Carla, are you there po? We're waiting for you so that we can start our... So, yan. So, okay. So your faces are your responsibility, have brothers and brothers and sisters. So give your best smiles. So I will take the pictures now. 6, 7, 8. Smile. Okay. Another pose. 사랑합니다. Heart shape, brothers and sisters. Small heart. Small heart. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Hello, wala yata si Kuya Fritz. Kuya Fritz, are you there po? Wala si Kuya Fritz. Nakuha niya yung camera niya. Sige na lang. Another one. Ano ba? Ibaragi siya ng brothers and sisters sunflower pose. Ibaragi. 1, 2, 3. Smile. And then last, Vision 2027, brothers and sisters. Sugni. Okay, thank you so much, brothers and sisters. I hope you can maintain turning on your camera. That way we would also be able to see your faces, your beautiful faces. Don't hide your beautiful faces, brothers and sisters. So, wag kayong mahihiya. And this is also, in that way, kahit virtually lang tayo nagsasama, you will also know your brothers and sisters who's attending with you this time. Diba? It would be a good avenue to meet another brothers and sisters, even though they're far from far away. So, yan. So to recall what we just had the before on the second day, may I call on to some of our brothers and sisters to give a brief a review to the last topic that we have, and as well as to give their insights to what will be the topic that we will be discussing today. So yun, since yung hindi nag-o-open ng camera, yun yung tatawagin natin first, di ba, brothers and sisters? So, to those brothers and sisters na hindi naka-open yung camera, sila yung prepared person eh. Kasi nahihiya sila. Sobrang nag-prepare yata sila. So, ayaw nilang magpakita muna. So, to call on to the brothers and sisters who will, to the sister that will give us, dalawa sila hindi naka-on ng camera eh. To the sister that will give her review to the last topic that we had on the second day, and then yung insights niya for today. May I call on to Ate Carla Bailador, 5678. Let's all welcome her brothers and sisters. Welcome, Ate Carla. Please give us your takeaway from last meeting, and as well as your insights for this week's topic. Hello po, Ate Carla, are you there? Hello po. Baka busy si Ate Carla. Hello, Ate Carla. Okay. Ate Carla wasn't able to attend last time. Okay. I hope you can review po the topic that we had last time, Ate. It is available on YouTube. So, yun. Catch up na lang po, Ate Carla, because it's something that we all should not miss. So, yun. So, since wala si Ate Carla last time, may I call on to Ate Faye Balulot, 5678. Welcome, Ate Faye. Let's all welcome Ate Faye, brothers and sisters. Welcome po.
Hello, narinig po ba ako?
Naririnig ko po namin.
Okay pa. The last topic was on yung 4-position foundation po, tsaka kaan po na. The dual purposes of humanity, or other man and woman, or God. So yes. although although I don't remember much that part of the yung 4-position foundation and the three something relationship, it really makes you understand that God was preparing for man and woman and even the child to have a perfect relationship with him. So yeah, as well as even the dual purposes shows that. But what saddens us, or rather the members of this church, the ones that have been enlightened, that is that is that for for some reason everyone can tell that yung for example yung yin and yang and other stuff, everyone can tell because
Great.
of the knowledge that has been passed through, like for this century. It's like the information it's like the century of information, and like doubt kasi because of the Chinese making fake stuff. Anyway, uh s- but what is saddening is that they are still unable to go through the path of following God's intent, even though even though they can even though they can understand that much, they still cannot understand God's word. Yung ganun. Thank you very much. Parang naging reflection.
Thank you so much, Ate Faye, for that one. Ate, do you have any idea what we'll be talking about today? Were you able to study ahead kung ano yung magiging lecture natin for tonight? Any idea? Walang tama or maling sagot dito. Just pure idea about it. Do you have anything in mind?
Since kan naman po ni we we already did like the introduction and the chapter 1, I think, like the later parts of chapter 1 or chapter 2.
Okay, thank you so much, Ate. Yes. Okay, let's hear one more reflection or one more review, another review from about last time's topic. So since may representative na tayo from the sister side, let's call on to the brother side. Dalawa lang ba yung brothers natin? Oh my God! Sige, sinong gusto mag-volunteer? You can just unmute yourselves. Dalawa lang kayo, Kuya Sanric and Kuya Mikael. So, if you wanted to give your insights about last time and as well as today, you're free to do so, brothers. And brothers, from the brothers side. Wala ba? Sige, ini.
Ano si kanina?
Okay? Since wala naman magpo-volunteer, let's call on to yung nakasmile. Napaka-smiley niya ngayon. Let's all welcome, I think, kapatid ni Ate Faye, if I'm not mistaken. 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's welcome Kuya Mikael. Let's welcome him, brothers and sisters. 5, 6, 7. Welcome, Kuya Mikael.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. So, ayun, for my review on the last lecture, the parts na yun nga, it struck to me was the the purpose of humanity, which is to bring joy to God, and how to bring about that joy, which is to reflect his inner inner nature, yeah. And ayun, so far yun lang.
Okay, thank you, Kuya. How about yung insights? Since nagbigay naman sa atin na it's either chapter 2 or the rest of the section sa chapter 1, do you have any idea kung ano yung mga natitira? Anong topic? Anong topic ang sa atin ngayon?
I'm going with the same answer. Either review or further discussion sa chapter 1, or progression sa chapter 2.
Oh, okay. Sige, sige. So, yung mga sagot nila, napaka-safe, di ba? So, Anyways, brothers and sisters, tama naman. Tama naman. We will be talking about the rest of the sections na natira sa chapter 1, and then on the next day, on Wednesday, we will be talking about chapter 2. So tonight, we will be talking about, we will be discussing 3 sections. The 3 remaining sections. So chapter 1, which will be section 4, which will be, we will talk about the original value. Section 5, the process of creation and the growing period. And then the section 6, the incorporeal world and the corporeal world, whose center is human beings. So I hope you're all excited, brothers and sisters, because for tonight's session, yung mga questions natin like, ano nga ba yung value ko? Ano yung purpose ko? And is spirit or yung spirit world ba? Totoo ba? So yun. So yung mga questions na yun, those will be catered for tonight. So just relax, brothers and sisters. And I hope you stay with us for the entire night. Huwag kayong aalis midway kasi marami kayong mamimiss, brothers and sisters. So, and yan, please keep in mind to, please open your cameras as much as you can. And if hindi naman kaya because of some internet issues, that's also fine. Just please be as participative as you can. Okay? Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. So to formally welcome our first lecturer for tonight, allow me to welcome my very own partner, which will be talking and discussing about the two first the two sections for tonight, section 4 and section 5. She's she is a very good lecturer. Lahat naman tayo, brothers and sisters, we have the potential to become a good lecturers. So yun, allow me to, please help me welcome our very own Ate Relina Dolando. 5, 6, 7, 8. Welcome, Ate Relina. And ready your pens and papers.
Okay, good evening. Let me share my screen first. Malino. Wala. Stop share ako ah. Hindi nga. Innovation share. Ito. Bakit may nakikita ako na? Yung brothers and sisters na lilito ako. So from the review, as a review, let's have a summary first of the day 2. What have we learned so far from day 2, which is yung principle of creation, section 1, dual characteristic of God, and the created universe. So we have learned that humanity and God, the creator, have the same two sets of dual characteristic. And we learned that it is inevitable for any human individual not to have a partner kasi may yang and yin. Everything in the created universe or every entity has their partners so that everybody needs to have a partner in the future. That's the reason why most of you or some of you are now trying to applying for your maths and eventually will would like to participate in the blessing, di ba? So, magkakaroon talaga kayo ng partner. And then, so we also learned that partners are opposite each other. Ibig sabihin, uh, our matching, uh, your just like our example, I would like to make an example. The our your matching application. So the match that would be given to you would you should expect, or you should prepare yourself that the partners that will be matched with you is your opposite, and that would make you perfect, and that would complement your something that is not some characteristic that you don't have, or something that will correct the characteristic that you have developed because of the partner that will be uh, matched with you. And then the partner is decided by the creator, diba? Or the partner will be decided by our true father, God, through through our leaders, through our parents, if you are second generation. And and then yun yung aral natin sa section 1, and also in section 2 we also learn about the universal prime energy, give and take action, and the four position foundation. So, ano yung practical application ng section 2? God exists even though He is invisible. So, the presence of energy in us uh, is the proof that God is a reality, and the absolute reality, just as the universal prime energy exists, yet it is invisible. Also, we have learned that all entities cannot do anything without the creator. Just like, imagine if the air is being it's being shut down by God, what will happen to humanity? Within 3 minutes we all die because we need oxygen. So pagdating ng 4 minutes, we will die. That's how powerful it is, God, and that sometimes we don't. Most of the time, we are not aware of it because it is always given. The air, the water, the sun that rises every morning. Sometimes we are not very appreciative of these things that cannot be invented or cannot be given by anybody except the creator of our heavenly parent. And then the creator's incredible consideration is evident through the universal prime energy, the give and take action, and the four position foundation. Yun yung section 2. And then we also learn section 3, the purpose of creation is that the purpose why God created the universe is for God to have an object partner. You still remember that, as our Sir Herwin have explained last meeting. And then for human beings to be able to live for the sake of others. So, and that for human beings to fulfill God's will. And what is God's will? Yung sinasabi kanina ni Miss Faye na the fulfillment of the three great blessings that we can see in the Genesis 1:28, which is be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion. And yung three, another three na sinasabi niya is for us to, and the meaning of it is to become perfect individual, and then establishing perfect family, and then we will have dominion over the creation. Of course, it involves portion of responsibility to humanity as he goes through the three stages of growth, which is formation, growth, and completion. And then overall chapter 1, section 3 summary. The secret to solve problems of humanity is to understand first the creator. Yun yung isa sa mga overall of section 1 to 3. And then the common dual characteristic of God and human beings proves that their relationship is parent and child. So you must remember that. And then the universal proves the existence of God, and the creation cannot do anything without God. So, and any being of existence or any created being, any entity cannot do anything without universal frame energy, which is being directed and controlled by Heavenly Parent. And the purpose of the creation is to give joy to God as well as to give joy to the other forms of creation from the smallest to the higher creation. So that is the summary of day 2. We are now ready for uh, sections 4, 5, and 6. So first is section 4, which is original value. So we will first discuss about the process and standard for the determination of the original value. The original value of an entity is determined when it participates as an object partner in a God-centered four-position foundation by relating with a person as its subject partner. So we have learned the four-position foundation in section 2, wherein in order to determine one's original value is that that person, that entity must be able to relate with a person as its subject partner. Next, after relating with a person, with a subject partner, since the center of this four-position foundation is God, it is God who sets the standard of its value. So since God is the center of the first is that in order to determine your the value of an individual or an entity created by the creator or heavenly parent or God, he needs to that person or that entity needs to enter into participate into a four position foundation. And that since God is the center, the original, the value or the standard of its value is uh, determined by God. Since God is absolute, we know that God is absolute, and that is the and what do we mean by absolute? Absolute goodness, absolute love. Okay? So since God is absolute as is an absolute being, the original value of an object partner, the object partner who earlier participate in the four position foundation, determined in original value of an object partner determined in relation to its standard must also be absolute. So originally, the the value, the original value of an entity is determined by God. If it is this entity is a human being, so his original value must also be absolute as God, being the image of God. When we say we are human beings, are the manifestation of God's image, or created in the image of God. So it means their original value is, if it's a human being, and then its original value is children of God, and that is absolute. So what is So upon determining the process, the no the your original value, you need to, since the original value is determined by God, but you need to participate. It means that just as faith faith is dead without works, it's like also, even though a person, a human being, has determined its original value, if you do not relate to a person, that value will be nothing, because you need to participate in a four position foundation as object partner to a subject partner, which is also another person. Of if that person, or if that entity is a flower, it needs to be appreciated. A flower, original value is a beautiful flower, should be no, it's beautiful flower. The the beauty of that flower will be nothing if a person, an individual, won't notice that flower to appreciate it as and give joy to a person. Just like when um just like when you receive your match, your example again, let's go to the matching process again, because this lecture series is a requirement to your matching, originally is your requirement to your matching application. If you don't if upon receiving your match, if you don't receive your match, the value of your match won't be won't will be nothing, because you did not accept him or her. And at the same time, your value was not also be well came to a note also, because you were not able to pursue your desire to receive a match, and to proceed to the next step of the blessing, which is participation in the blessing. So let's now go to the section 5, the process of the creation of the universe and its growing period. So the process of the creation of the universe. So how does the creation of the universe came about? The universe did not suddenly spring forth complete. In fact, its origin and development took an enormous length of time. The biblical period of 6 days for the completion of the universe is not to be reckoned by the number of literal sunrises and sunset. It symbolizes six ordered periods of time in the creation process. So when we say it does not suddenly uh, spring forth complete at the snap of a finger, because God is our usual understanding that God is so powerful, and that at a snap of a finger he can, uh, just like magic, the universe came forth. It's not like that. Even in the story of the Bible, we can read that God have created the universe within 6 days. So it means that it has a period of 6 days. So it has emerged into uh, it has emerged into some duration, time duration, length, 6 days. It's not just a snap of a finger. As you snap, it's almost 1 second, di ba? 1 second, and then magic. There is the creation. It's not like that. Just what we always eat. The biblical period of 6 days. It has biblical periods. In fact, in science, it has a study wherein once one day it has a enormous time 1,000 times, and there are also uh, documents with when it the where it says that one day in God is 1 minute, or one day for God is 1,000 years, or it involves thousands of years. When the first day of creation is complete, the Bible states that there was evening and there was morning one day. And we can read that in Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 5. One would think that the arrival of the morning after the passage of an evening and a night would be reckoned as the second day. Yet it is referred to us as the first day. This is how the divine principle explains it. After usually when we say there is morning and then evening, that is already second day. But to the as explained in the divine principle, and as we read in the Bible, it is still the first day. The Bible states one day to show that a created being must pass through a growing period, symbolizes by night before it reaches perfection in the morning. So this then it greets its new morning in it. It can step forward and realize its ideal of creation. And this is explains why there is the in the previous section we have explained that there is formation, growth, and completion. The night, the evening that was said to the evening is corresponding to the formation stage of growing up. So so the evening and then came the night is uh the growth stage, and completion the morning is completion. That's why it said it one day, because it's completion. So you can now proceed to the the another process or another stage of human development, or create development of a creation. God is the one absolute reality in whom the dual characteristics interact in harmony. Therefore, he is a being of number three. That's the reason why there are three stages of
Grow.
uh, growth for
Grow.
the creation, for all of the creation, and all the creation we, is following this principle. All created beings, having been conceived in the likeness of God, manifest their existence, movement, and growth through a course of three stages. And this is what we have learned from chap, section, section 3, the three stages of growth, which is formation, growth, and completion. Accordingly, our creation reached perfection by passing through three stages of growth: the formation stage, the growth stage, and the completion stage. So this is the one. All creation need to uh, to go to the process of perfection following these three stages of growing period. And this is the formula that is being followed by God from the time of the creation until today. So we are now to study or examine in detail the three ordered stages of the growing period. Human beings could not fulfill the purpose of their existence because they fell without completing the three stages of growing period. Hence, in their renewed efforts to realize their purpose, they must pass through these three stages. The first, humans fell at the top of the growth stage. So, this is the formula. All creation need to go to the process of perfection. The using the growth, three stages of growth. But then, as we have learned, which we will be learning further in the next chapter, is that human beings fell at the top of the growth stage. So this is also these three stages of growing period will be used also for their as fallen beings. These three growth period will be also be used for them to go up again, to climb up again, to in order uh to uh, to fulfill the purpose of creation. Ito pa rin yung formula course nila. Dadaan pa rin sila ng ganito. So, this is true Father's words about it. If human beings had fallen after they had attained perfection, then there would be no basis for belief in the omnipotence of God. So, if human beings have fallen at the perfection stage, sinasabi dun sa words ni Father, there will be no basis for the omnipotence of God. So, talagang dito, kasi pag dumating na dito sa completion stage, hindi na posibleng magpo-fall yung human beings. So, dito talaga siya sa top of the growth stage. Like, fall yung human beings. Ay, mali. If human beings had fallen after they had become perfect embodiments of goodness, that means they have already inherit the characteristic and nature of God. Then goodness itself would be imperfect. Accordingly, we would be forced to conclude that God, as the source of goodness, is also imperfect. But we know very well, contrary to this, that the reason why we said that God is perfect because of this reason. Since God, human beings fell at the top of the growth stage, not after they have perfect themselves. It is written, that's the reason why it is always explained that God do not have anything to do with the fall or anything to do with sin. It is written in the book of Genesis that God warned Adam and Eve of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat. For in the day that you eat of it, you shall die. We understand through this verse that they were still in a mature state of immaturity when Adam and Eve fell. So they are not yet perfect, and they are not yet uh, immature to know right or wrong absolutely. Father said that the biblical basis for saying that Adam and Eve fell from the top of the growth stage can be found in Abraham's three symbolic offerings. There were two doves. When we say there are two doves, two rams, but only one heifer. So that this means that in the formation and growth stages, Adam and Eve grow as partner, as required, di ba? As required by the principle of creation. They grow in partner. They need to, in order for, as we learn from section 1, people, the basis of growing up and existence is really interrelationship among the partners. So that is the requirement of the principle. So in order for them to grow into perfection. But then in the Abraham's symbolic offering, there are only two doves. The two doves represent formation stage, and the rams represent ram and goat to eh. Represent male and female rams. And then represent growth stage, but only one heifer. So this means that the formation and growth stage, Adam and Eve grow as partners. In the completion stage, represented by a single heifer, however, there was no horizontal relationship but only a vertical relationship. This means that they did not grow. Vertical relationship, there is a vertical relationship because they are being guided by God, only they did not follow God, diba? So there is no partnership in the between Adam and Eve in the growth, in the completion stage. He said that this is the only place in the Bible that provides evidence of the point of their fall. Thus, he said that although Satan can invade up to the top of the growth stage, he cannot invade the completion stage. So, yun. That's the reason why we know very well that true Father said that Adam and Eve fell at the top of the growth stage. So, what is now the realm of indirect dominion? When created beings are in the growing period, God has regard only for the results of their growth, which are based on the principle. When we say principle, it is the law. So the law is that they need to fulfill their responsibility to follow God's word. And whatever their decision is, when they fulfill their purpose of their portion of responsibility depends on them, and God will respect that. That is the reason why the meaning of indirect dominion. So that is the responsibility, and God will not intervene in that responsibility. In this way, He governs all things indirectly during the these three stages of growth. We call this growing period the realm of God's indirect dominion, or the realm of dominion based on accomplishment through the principle. So when we are young and immature, we need to be very strict about the principle and laws. Just like when we are young, our parents were very strict, not even with the touching hot hot surfaces, di ba? Do not touch that because it will hurt you, or do not touch the electric fan because it may hurt you also. That's the principle. And that is how God uh guided Adam and Eve during their growing period, in the indirect dominion, in the growing period. All things reach perfection after passing through the growing period by virtue of autonomy and governance given by God's principle. So human beings, however, pass through the growing period by virtue of perfection by fulfilling their responsibility, in addition to the guidance provided by the
So mukhang may technical issue ay may internet issues.
table.
Kasi,
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to share again. Nawala. Wait. Nawala yung aking presentation.
Kanta mo na. Sinong, pumunta dito? Labas yung mga talent nyo.
Kakanta. Talaga.
Search ko muna sinong pwedeng kumanta. According sa Google. Wala pang sagot ng Google, ah. Ang tagal naman yun. Si Siri na lang.
So sharing na lang.
Yan na pala. Saka na lang Siri, ah. Mamaya.
Ano? So, as I was saying, all things reach perfection after passing through the growing period by virtue of autonomy and governance given by God's principle. So human beings, however, pass through the growing period and reach perfection by fulfilling their own portion of responsibility in addition to the guidance provided by the principle. Yung guidance that was provided by the principle is do not eat, diba? And then the commandment, do not eat it's the commandment, yung prohibition, but the commandment, the first commandment is for God is that God said to human beings after they were created is that you must be fruitful, yung nasa Genesis 28, diba? Genesis 1:27, sinasabi that God created man in his own image. male and female, He created them. Yun yung Genesis 27. And immediately, upon the creation, God commanded them to be fruitful, multiply, and have dominion. Ang ibig sabihin nun, God commanded them to become perfect, as we have learned in the previous section. Perfect their individuality, and that is the principle. And then after they perfect themselves just like God, and then a perfect they will form a perfect family. So if they form a perfect family, they multiply. What will, if they are uh, perfect persons, diba sabi nila, hindi magbubunga ng santol yung bayabas. Mali ba? Santol yung bayabas. So, if perfect sila, Adam and Eve have both ideal personality or perfect themselves, then their children will also be ideal. So that's the reason why they need to become perfect first, their individuality, and then when they got married, and God will give them the permission to get married and to multiply, they will multiply good children just like them. And then they will be able to uh, take care of their environment, so that the environment would respond by providing them continuous supply of their needs. So yun yung unang commandment. Yun yung sinasabi dito na growing spirit perfection by fulfilling their own portion of responsibility, that is to grow, to fulfill the three great blessings, in addition to the guidance by the principle which prohibits them to eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And that is, yun yung sinasabi na principle dito. Yung responsibility is yung three, and then yung principle doon. And why God endowed human beings with responsibility? That's a big question. Do you question that? Why does it is only human beings that was endowed with responsibility? God endowed human beings with a portion of responsibility for the following reasons. By following their given portion of responsibility, with which even God does not interfere, human beings are meant to inherit the creative nature of God. So yeah, that's the first one, for the human beings to be able to inherit the nature of God and participate in God's great work of creation. When human beings inherit the nature of God by becoming perfect first, that is the first blessing, and then after they form family, after God given them the blessing in marriage, they will be creating, what will be they creating? Good children, right? So that means creating good nature, or receiving the same characteristic that God has given to human beings, and participate in God's great work of creation. Since they have already good characteristics, they would also automatically take care of their natural environment. And that's what is the meaning of uh, perfection of dominion. That's why we said it's automatic, because of the goodness that was inherited by human beings to God. So, And then God intends for human beings to earn ownership and become worthy to rule over the creation as creators. Pag nag-create sila, alam naman natin, God only created once. Diba? But human beings can create many times. So this is so that they would earn ownership. As just God governs all of them as their creator. So that they can inherit the creatorship of God when they take care of their partners and also the other creations as they take dominion of the creation as being the lords of the creation. This is the principal difference between human beings and the rest of the creation. So these are the reasons why God endowed them with responsibility, human beings. The reason God gave us responsibility, as Father said, is to allow us to partake in the great work of creation. Natutuwa ba kayong marinig to? This serves as the condition that we are not created by God alone, but have created ourselves. So, if we do or fulfill our, as human beings, fulfill our portion of responsibility, we also create ourselves as human beings and also the rest of our descendants. Our responsibility gives us the right of equal value, just like what we have learned sa section 4. In order to fulfill our portion of responsibility, we must become one with God. Ibig sabihin, becoming one with God, when God says, do not eat, you only look at God's commandment. Do not look at do not be confused with whatever other people will say. We will only listen to God. And then one with the principle. Only when these two conditions are met, we can fulfill our portion of responsibility. So this is the solution in on how we can, each and every one of us can fulfill our portion of responsibility. We must become one with God and then one with the principle. Kung ano yung sinabi ni God to become to fulfill the three great blessings and not to eat the fruit, di ba? Not to eat the fruit while we are in the growing period where it is not yet permitted. That's the reason why Adam and Eve, it means, in short, Adam and Eve must keep their purity as they grow into perfection. Because if they multiply before they perfect themselves, what kind of children they will multiply into this world? And you know already the answer. And we will learn that more in chapter 2. The realm of direct dominion. Now, let us now study and examine more deeply the realm of direct dominion. Human beings abide in the realm of direct dominion when, as subject partner and object partner, they unite in love of God to form the four-position foundation and become one in heart with God. In this realm, they freely and fully share love and beauty according to the will of the subject partner. thus realizing the purpose of goodness. So when we follow the subject partner in the four position foundation, the the result would always be goodness. But if we follow the desire of the object partner, that that is not within the, because the subject partner is is always connected to God. That's the reason. But if the object partner's desire was being followed, so that will be the time that we will have a problem. Hence, the realm of direct dominion is the realm of perfection. Ito yung perfection of the four position foundation of the three object purposes as we have learned in section 2. Remember that there are in the four position foundation there are three object purpose, the subject and the subject element and the object element plus their union, di ba? Ito pala, the subject element and the subject partner and the object partner and their union. Tatlo yung object position dito, and each they would fulfill three object purposes centering on God. As long as the subject is connected to God and their result is goodness, absolute goodness. And this is the realm of God's direct dominion, wherein no one can break this dominion towards this direct dominion towards God. And sin is not possible in the direct dominion of Heavenly Parent if we complete this. If human beings can fulfill this. What is the meaning of God's direct dominion over human beings as based on the words of True Father, the Reverend San Yamun? What is the meaning of God's direct dominion over human beings? Once Adam and Eve had perfected themselves as individuals centered on God, they were to live together as one, forming the four-position foundation in their family. Living in oneness with God's family would have led a life of goodness, sharing the fullness of love and beauty with Adam as the head of the family. That is from the exposition of the divine principle, page 4. To continue, it is the realm of direct dominion. It is a world united through love. Once this happens, there can be no other owner. So, isa lang yung owner. And who is that owner? God, the Creator. It becomes absolute. Once unity is attained in love, two owners are not wanted. God does not want a different owner, nor do people want a different owner. Once it is connected, it then becomes an eternal base. This must be then to be expanded to the family, tribe, people, and nation. This foundation, heavenly fortune will turn through this axis of love. When we have when human beings become successful in fulfilling and attaining the realm of direct dominion, perfection, or perfection, fortune will turn into axis of love, or heavenly fortune will pour upon all humanity or human beings. This is how God uh, planned the world to be. So, and that ends the section 4 and 5, and it will be continued by my partner, Miss Bell. And please help me welcome Miss Bell, the youngest among the UPTA lecturers. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Father. Good evening, brothers and sisters. So please allow me to share my screen. So I'll be at then please allow me to share my screen. So I'll be continuing chapter 6, the incorporeal world and the corporeal world. Wala ako. Omo. Hello. Yan. Yan. Okay na po ba? Ay, ba? Yeah. Good evening once again, brothers and sisters. So tonight I'll be discussing briefly and shortly section 6, the incorporeal world and the corporeal world whose center is the human beings. The incorporeal world or the spirit world, and then the corporeal world, which is the earthly world or the world that we are living in right now. So before we start with the discussion, with the lecture, have you, it ever crossed to some of you, brothers and sisters, if the spirit world does really exist? So, or have you encountered people who proclaims na totoo yung spirit world, totoo yung spirits, and that they can converse with spirits or any sort like that. Diba? I think that's very common, especially to Filipinos. Oo. So, um, with this lecture that we will be having tonight, I hope that some of your questions and some of your queries about the spirit world, about kung ano nga ba yung responsibility, kung ano yung role ng tao with that one would be answered. So yun, let's begin. So the incorporeal world and the corporeal world. So the universe was created after the pattern of a human being who is in the image of God's dual characteristics. So this can be proven not only by this is not only a claim, but this can actually be proven with science itself. When we study further, or when we study deeply the human structure, even the human body itself, there's so many wonders in our body that we ourselves are not that we ourselves are not and that we don't know ourselves by ourselves. So how meticulously and how very how everything, or how our even the smallest detail in our body, or how the human cell itself was created, it actually says a lot. And then that structure is actually similar and can actually be seen in all the other created beings as well. So with that, we can actually say that human being is like the master plan, yung the blueprint of all God's creation. Whether we admit it or not, even if you think that that's not true, there's still so many things that we still don't know about ourselves. That's actually a representation of the bigger world that we all see right now. So yeah. Amazing, right, brothers and sisters? I myself am very amazed with that idea. Na I um my 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 being itself, so my whole created being, so my whole body itself is actually, there's so many things actually that still need to be discovered. And then discovering the world is like discovering ourselves as well. And similar, discovering ourselves is also like discovering the bigger world or the earthly world. So that is how God created human beings. So therefore, corresponding to the human mind and body, the universe consists of the incorporeal world and the corporeal world, both of which are real and substantial. So yung first question pa lang na, is the spiritual world real? It is, brothers and sisters. So, and we will be discussing it further, hopefully, in this section. So, the two worlds together form the cosmos. So, yung cosmos, so the cosmos does not only include the clouds, the sun, or then the land, the earth, but then it also expands to the spirit world, which we cannot perceive with our physical eyes or physical senses. So when we shed our bodies, our physical bodies, we enter the incorporeal world as spirits and live there for eternity. So this is so, and it have you also encountered, brothers and sisters, the saying that goes, "Na that our life here on earth is just the beginning of our life in the spirit world." Because when we are already, when we shed our bodies, that's the time that we are that we start living eternally. So yung spirits natin, it will live for eternity. So there's no more death after our physical death. So yun. So, and then yung life natin here on earth is just a kickstart for us for the life that we will be living as spirits. So yun. So this is true, and this is not just any claim that we are saying, brothers and sisters. So yun. So in addition, the incorporeal world is so called because we cannot perceive it through our five physical senses. Yet, we can perceive it through our five spiritual senses. So, it's we don't only have five physical senses, brothers and sisters, but we also have five spiritual senses. So, with that, also, we don't just a human being does not only have a human body, but they also have a spiritual body. So they're not only a human, alive being, or yeah, a being on earth, but they're also spiritual beings. So yun. So those who have spiritual experiences testify that the incorporeal world appear as real as the world in which we live. So that is why also when we meet not meet, but then when we hear stories about people testifying that they have seen heaven or they have seen hell or what or they were able to converse with spirits. That is because that's actually a cooperation with the spirit with their ancestors, with the spirits, and that is why those testimonies actually would give us further would lead us into conclusion that it's actually not real because there's hindi lang naman nag-iisa yung tao na nag-testify na they have experienced this spiritual all those spiritual experiences by themselves, but a lot of people would testify to it. So just as we cannot discern a person's character without fathoming his mind, and we cannot understand the fundamental meaning of human life without understanding God, so we cannot completely understand the nature and structure of the corporeal world without understanding the incorporeal world. So para completely grasp natin yung um, yung corporeal world, we must be able to also understand the structure and yung nature ng incorporeal world, just as how we have to understand God to understand completely the meaning of our life. So without God, we cannot actually uh, fully grasp the meaning of our existence. So without God, we can although you may say that I already know my purpose even without knowing God, because akala mo yun na yun yung purpose ng life mo. But there's actually more to it than we actually believe in or actually we know. We have to fully grasp, we have to go beyond that line and understand God para ma-meet natin, and we would be completely known to our purpose, our creation, the purpose of our lives, and why we were created. So yun. And then the corporeal world or the spirit world is in the position of subject partner, and the corporeal world or the physical world is in the position of object partner. So hindi actually when we think about it, although some of us maybe already na alam na natin na may corporate and na may spiritual world and then the physical world. But then we thought that what matters most is yung object ay yung physical world, yung physical life natin than the spiritual. But then when we actually study the divine principle, brothers and sisters, it says to us and it will lead us, it will teach us that what actually is the subject should be our spiritual self, because the spiritual world is in the position of the subject partner, and the object partner is the physical world or our physical life here on earth. So if we ask ourselves which matters more, is it our life of faith or attaining wealth? Ikaw, brothers and sisters, sa inyo, brothers and sisters, which matters more? When we're still living here on earth, we could probably most of us will say na which matters most is those physical and the wealth, because it is what we need here on earth. But however, brothers and sisters, we always have to remember that our life here on earth is the foundation that we need when we go to the spiritual world. So if we just focus ourselves living externally or living trying to accomplish so many things without nurturing and without developing our physical selves, without putting the spiritual world in the subject position, we will be in great we will be in a miserable state when we go to the spiritual world, because wala tayong foundation. So what are we gonna do in the spiritual world? Wala tayong nagawa here on earth na maganda. Only it was all focused and centered on yourselves. So it's gonna be very difficult for us. So that is why although you may be hindi naman sinasabi ko, brothers and sisters, na just focus on worshiping Heavenly Parent or worshiping Jesus or God, or just focus on your faith. But we have to put these two aspects, these two subject and object, these two entities in harmonious relationship with one another. So they have to form a give and take action harmoniously. So walang isa na hindi lalamang yung isa, hindi. They should be in equal and balance. So dapat they can both work together as one. So yun. So yeah, I hope you were able to grasp that, brothers and sisters. So the latter or the physical world is just like the shadow of the former. So yun. So ano nga ba yung, what is the position of human beings in the cosmos? So why did God created human beings? Aside from the purpose that we have known from previous section, let us decipher what is the position of human beings in the cosmos. So the universe was created after the pattern of human being. The position of human being in the cosmos has three aspects. First, God created human beings to be the rulers of the universe. So the universe does not of itself have internal sensibility toward God, toward God. That is why when we go back in section 4, in section 5, in the indirect dominion the portion, we have known about it. For all things to reach perfection, they only require the principle. Unlike human beings who have an additional human responsibility for them to reach perfection, all things are only requires the principle, because the reason of it is that all things are actually the object partners of the human beings. So God does not govern the universe directly. Rather, God endowed human beings with sensibilities to all things in the universe and gave them the mandate to rule over the universe directly. So God created the human body with the elements from the physical world, such as water, clay, and air. That is why when we go back to the Genesis in the story of creation, diba? God created human beings uh, using clay or using yung dirt, diba? To allow us to perceive and govern it. And that is also why when we die, our body decomposes and then goes back into um, dirt as well. So, to make it possible for us to perceive and govern the spiritual world, God created our spirits with the same spiritual elements that compose the spirit world. So, hindi lang yung physical body natin, which ang were created in using the elements of the physical world, but as well as our spiritual selves were created with the elements of the spirit world. So it's the same thing. It's like a reflection, brothers and sisters. But instead of our physical lives as the original nature, it is our spiritual selves who is actually the real thing, and then our our um our physical body is the reflection or is the shadow. So then the second aspect is that God created human beings to be the mediator and the center of harmony of the cosmos. So when a person's flesh and spirit unite through give and take action and become God's substantial object partner, the physical and spiritual world can also begin give and take action with that person as base as their center. So they thus achieve harmonious integration to construct cosmos that is responsive to God, like the air that enables two tuning forks to resonate with each other. So a true person acts as the mediator and center of harmony between the two worlds. So the ability to communicate between the two worlds also may be likened to a radio or television, which transforms invisible waves or the electromagnetic waves into perceptible images and sounds. Diba? If you have you ever wondered, brothers and sisters, bakit nga ba, paano nagkakaroon ng images in our TVs? Or how is it being transmitted, yung calls natin or the radios, diba? How does it transmit sound? So it is through those electromagnetic waves. But then we cannot see the electromagnetic waves, right? But still, it were able to transmit. And so just like that, human beings, so once we were able to completely unite our spiritual selves and our physical self, we can also become the mediators and be able to transmit what is being said, what is we can connect the two worlds, the physical world and the spiritual world. And then so thus, a person can accurately convey the realities of the spirit world to the physical worlds. And then the third one, brothers and sisters, is that God created human beings to encapsulate in a substantial form the essences of everything in the cosmos. So God created the universe by projecting and developing the pre-existent prototype of the human internal nature and external form into countless substantial forms. So the human spirit encapsulates all of the elements found in the spirit world. Since God created the spirit world as the unfolding of the spirit internal nature and external form, the human body encapsulates all the elements of the spirit world since God created the material realm as the unfolding of the body's internal nature and external form. So accordingly, since human beings contain within themselves the essences of all things in the cosmos, each person is a microcosm. So that is why, brothers and sisters, it is your position in brother ng human beings is really unique and very special since we all are destined to become rulers and then the mediator and then the center of harmony. So it is through us human beings that these two worlds can meet and can unite with each other. And then we also contain or so encapsulates. So lahat ng elements ng spiritual world and the physical world is within us. So that is how special and that is how unique a human being is, a human person is, one human person is. So that is why also, brothers and sisters, I would like to just add that as much as possible, we cannot just degrade other people, because when we look at it in God's perspective, every single human being is important, because every human being is a manifestation of God's creation. He also is destined to become the ruler of the universe. And yung taon din yun, if example we hate somebody, that person also is actually our brother or sister. So that is why we should create this entire world as our home, as and we must embrace everyone else as much as we can as our own brothers and sisters. Kasi yun naman talaga yung ultimate goal ni Heavenly Parent, ni God. He did not create human beings for us to fight. So He did not create us para maglaban-laban or mag-away-away. We are all created equally. So all human beings. So walang mataas, walang mababa. So yun. So singit lang yung brothers and sisters. So, ayun. With that, I hope nakuha niyo rin yung brothers and sisters. Diba? There's still so many things to learn about. There's still so many wonders in about the universe that will actually amaze all of us. So, ngayon naman, let's learn about the reciprocal relationship between the physical self and our spirit self. Ever going back, brothers and sisters, going back muna here. However, I would like to also add that since human beings fell, the the human being, nawala siya sa picture. So hindi naging yung bridge or yung mediator, supposedly mediator, was yun, nawala nga, diba? So the incorporeal world, up until this time, hindi pa siya na-unite. That is why when there's still so many things that we have to really work on, kasi yun yung cause ng fall. Marami kasing nangyari because of the human fall. And that is why we will be talking about it in the second chapter. Kung ano ba talaga yung human fall na parating na ma-mention, di ba? So what is the human fall and what is the cause and what did it bring yung fall na yun? So yan. So now, let's go to the reciprocal relationship between the physical self and the spirit self. So the physical self, so let's go first with the structure of the physical self. The physical self consists of the dual characteristics of the physical mind and the physical body. We are all familiar to this, brothers and sisters, right? So the physical mind directs the physical body to maintain the functions necessary for its survival, protection, and reproduction. So for the physical self to grow in good health, it must absorb air and sunlight, which are intangible, young types of nourishment, and eat and drink food and water, which are tangible, yin types of nourishment through its digestive circulatory systems. That is why, brothers and sisters, diba, if we, no, kahit ano pa mang healthy living yung ginawa natin, kumain tayo ng mga gulay or hindi tayo umiinom ng soft drinks as regular as much as we drink water, if we don't go out and if we don't allow ourselves to be seen in the sun, or then if we don't have enough air, we will not be as healthy as we would be. So in order for us to have to attain that good health, we must be able to have those lahat dapat ng both sunlight and then the air, also the right amount or so right intake of food. It must be in equilibrium. So dapat naka-equal sila, both yun. So, and in that way, when we were able to do that, so nasatisfy natin yung both intangible or the yang types, and then the tangible or the yin types. So it can be in, so it is in harmonious relationship, then we will be healthy. We will be have a physically fit and physically healthy na body. So same thing, good or evil in the conduct of the physical self is the main determinant of whether the spirit self becomes good or evil. This is because the physical self provides a certain element which we call the vitality element to the spirit self. So what is this vitality element that we're talking about? So, and this vitality element, brothers and sisters, is actually yun yung parang physical, spiritual food that our physical body feeds to our spiritual self, so our spiritual body. So how do we get this vitality element? We get this vitality element when we actually do good things. So, example, in a in your home, uh, after eating, you just leave the table without doing anything, without even fixing your own plate, or without helping your mom, or without helping your sister wash your plates. So when you don't when the less you try to do, the less you do good things, the lesser the vitality element that your spiritual spirit self receives. So in order for us, in order for our spirit self to grow and to develop, it must, so hindi lang dapat tayo nakafocus on feeding our physical selves, but as well as doing good things. So as much as possible, no matter how small it may be, even the small, or even the small way of helping others by giving them a peso because they need it. For example, for load, kulang sila ng piso para pang load. So even the act of giving that 1 peso artistically to that person who needs it actually will give you, in return, vitality element, and those vitality element will nurture our spirit self. So that is how important it is that we don't just focus on um, nurturing or developing our physical mind and body, but as well as our spiritual self and our spiritual body and our spiritual mind. So hindi lang talaga hindi lang talaga living elements ang kailangan natin, brothers and sisters, but as well as the vitality elements that will nourish our spirit self. So let's now then go to the structure of our spirit self. So our spirit self consists of the dual characteristics of spirit mind and spirit body, similar with the physical self. So the spirit self only perceives through spiritual senses and can communicate directly with God and exist as a spiritual, as a substantial incorporeal reality, able to govern the angels and the incorporeal world. So the spirit mind is the center of the spirit self. And that is where God was. So ano ba yung substantial representation ng spirit mind natin? So this substantial representation of this, brothers and sisters, is our conscience. That is why, diba, brothers and sisters, when we do something bad, or when we are when we're thinking of something, of doing something not good, there's a small voice in us that will us not to do it, because, or once we were able to commit something bad, we will be haunted by our conscience, and that we will live in guilt. Example, naka um example, sa school, you're eating a bubble gum and your teacher told you not to put yung bubble gum under the chair, but still you were lazy to throw it in the trash can. So what you did was still you put your bubble gum under your table or under your chair, and then once your teacher finds it out, or even if without your teacher finding it out, you will be haunted by your guilt because you did something wrong, and then you knew very well na sinabihan kayo ng teacher niyo na huwag niyong gagawin yun. Diba? So, with that, yun yung actually substantial representation of our spirit mind. That is where God lives. And the more we don't listen to our conscience, the lesser and the more distant we feel from God. So that's why we have to always, as much as possible, not just to really listen to our spirit mind. Kasi, yun nga, and we have to protect our spirit mind because if we don't protect it, then we are also destroying yung place na where God stays within us. So, yun. So, and if we destroy our spirit mind, we destroy, so God can no longer dwell within us. And that is why we no longer know what is good or bad because yun nga, hindi natin pinapakinggan yung conscious natin, and then we just live according to how we want it. So mas pinapabura natin yung ano yung sa tingin natin tama, not without consulting our spirit mind. So yan. And that is something that we should not be aiming for, brothers and sisters. Would you want to live like that? Diba hindi naman. We all want to live as much as possible connected with God and centering with God in. So the spirit grows through the give and take action between the two types of nourishment, life elements from God and the vitality elements from the physical selves. So yun. So yun nga, yung vitality elements, like what was discussed earlier, or was what was mentioned earlier, yun yung nagsasustain, yun yung nagsisilbing pagkain ng spiritual self natin. So that is why the more we actually live our lives in a godly centered way or in a good way, the more we feel so much alive and the more we glow towards others. Kaya kung makikita tayo ng ibang tao, they will feel like ang ganda ng aura niya, ang liwanag ng aura niya. So, di ba? So that is why we have to really nurture our spiritual self, brothers and sisters. And then also, it is not only limited to vitality elements, but our spiritual self, our spirit self, is also we also receive elements from God. So how can we receive life elements from God if we don't listen to our conscience, brothers and sisters? How can we receive life elements from God if we destroy our spirit mind and we let it shrink into a very very small voice, and until hindi na natin maririnig yung conscience natin, diba? So yun. So the spirit self not only receive vitality elements from the physical self, it also returns elements to the physical self, which we can call the living spirit elements. That is why, brothers and sisters, yun sabi ko kanina rin, na the more we do good things and the more our physical and spiritual self develops and is being nourished, the more it glows, the more our physical body glows. So, yung glow up na sinasabi nila, it's not only limited to living a healthy life, but as well as a healthy spiritual life. So, yun, brothers and sisters. Yun yung secret talaga nun. So, yeah, we should not just work on our physical styles, but as well as our spiritual self. That is the key to becoming really beautiful. No matter, hindi na magmamatter yung physical appearance natin. Because once we are able to harmoniously live a life that is where both our spirit self and the physical self are in harmony, we all will look beautiful. Kahit sino pa man sasabi niyan. But yeah, that's true to all of this, brothers and sisters. Yun. So, how does our spiritual self reach perfection? So how does it grow? So similar with the physical body or the physical selves of a human being, it also undergoes the three growing period: the formation stage, the growth stage, and the completion stage. So the spirit self can grow and reach perfection only while it abides in the flesh. So the relationship between the physical self and the spiritual self is similar to that between a tree and its fruit. So the spirit mind guides the spirit self as it grows in the soil of the physical self. And then the growth of the spirit self toward perfection progresses through the three orderly stages ordained by the principle of creation. So a spirit in the formation stage is called of life is called the form spirit, and in the growth stage, a life spirit, and in the completion stage, a divine spirit. So, um, yung discussion nito deeply, brothers and sisters, would be uh, on higher or on longer sessions. Since we don't only have 21 days, we also have 40 days, and we also have 120 days. And sa mga yun, we could all deeply discuss pa about this three levels of the spirit: the form spirit, the life spirit, and the divine spirit. So, however, yung main point dito, brothers and sisters, is that our spirit self can only grow while we are alive on earth. So, if it crosses your mind, how about those people who haven't reached perfection while they were alive here on earth? That is something that we will be, um, and so that's where cooperation comes in, brothers and sisters. So that is why our life here on earth is really very precious, brothers and sisters, because it because without so and that is also why we have to really we have to take care of our life. We have to do things as much as we can while we are alive. We cannot just take this for granted, because this is only a one-time opportunity, one-time opportunity. We won't get it anymore. And if we cannot fulfill our responsibilities, if we cannot grow um, here on earth while we are alive, then that is a real problem when we go into the spiritual world. Because when we go into the spiritual world, we cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. We cannot live as a complete person, as a complete spiritual self. So that's why I am urging you, brothers and sisters, in behalf of all the lecturers, I'm urging you that we should really strive harder to reach perfection, both physically and spiritually. So, kasi, and yun nga, that is how important our life is here on earth. So, hindi natin siya pwede basta-bastahin. So, and yeah, we have to really, really do our best to reach perfection, to complete these three stages. Kasi the only opportunity that we can do it is now. And then we never know when are we gonna go to the spiritual. I'm not trying to scare all of you, brothers and sisters. I'm also not prepared to go to the spirit world pattern. But then it's a reminder to all of us that every day we should be able to do something, at least do something good, so that when we go to the spirit world, we hindi natin, when we count the days that we have lived a life in a good way than in a bad way, it should be greater than those days that we have lived more centered on ourselves. So yun. Okay, brothers and sisters. So to explain it further, so how does the spirit self becomes good? So the spirit self can only become good through the redemption of sins during earthly life. So, di ba, we have learned that we will also be learning in chapter 2 that there are four types of sins, and that is the original sin, the hereditary sin, the individual sin, and the ano nga ba yung isa? Nakalimutan ko. Oh my God.
Collective.
Collective sin. So we have those four types of sins. So it says here that for us to become good, we must be able to redeem ourselves free from those sins. However, hindi pa natin alam kung ano yung original sin, right? We will be discussing that in the next chapter, and we will also be discussing the four types of sins further in this second chapter. However, let's focus on the individual sins, brothers and sisters, because all of us commit sin, no matter how big or small it is. We all, and then I myself would admit that I have committed a lot of sins. I mean, it's actually already a sin if we don't honor our parents. That action itself. Yung simpleng pag-obey sa parents natin, yung simpleng pagdadabog sa parents natin, yung simpleng pag-away sa kapatid. Actually, it accumulates, and then it makes ourselves sinful. It makes ourselves feel bad. I do feel that way. And then yung simpleng uh, ayaw mo i-share yung pagkain kasi gusto mo ikaw lang kumain kasi gutom na gutom ka na. It's actually, hindi na sinasabi ko na sobrang sama na ng brothers and sisters. But then, in a way, it's when it accumulates and it becomes a habit, and then you no longer know how to share. You share food to those people who, especially to those who are in need. It becomes a serious matter. So with that, magiging it will become a sin, diba? And that is why it's yung pagiging question na how does the spirit becomes good? It actually starts within ourselves. Paano nga ba? Let's ask ourselves, have we lived a life in a good way, in centering on God? So that question itself is actually so deep that mapapa-reflect ka talaga. Oo nga, no? Paano nga ba ako nabuhay for the past 19 years that I was here on earth? Napaka nun, di ba? So, this was the reason Jesus, as we are all familiar, di ba, had to come to earth in the flesh to save sinful humanity. We must lead a good life while we are on the earth. And that is also being taught in the scriptures, in the Bible. Those passages, those words that came from Jesus. Ano ba yung pinaka main message ng Bible? It is for us to live a good life, to lead a good life here on earth. And then so kaya nga yun yung yun yung talagang pinaka core na pinaka gustong ipahayag sa atin ng Bible. So it is written in Matthew chapter 16, verse 19, Jesus gave the keys to the kingdom of heaven to Peter, who remained on the earth. And in Matthew chapter 18, verse 18, he said, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. So it is not God who decides whether a person's spirits enter heaven or earth upon his death. It is decided by the spirit self. How is this possible, brothers and sisters? So while living on earth, your every action and movement is recorded in your spirit self without exemption under the public laws of heaven as the standard. So lahat ng ginagawa mo here on earth, it is recorded on your spirit self. And that is why, di ba, it is also in the movies, or it is also in the books na on the times yung last seconds that a person is about to die, when a person meets death, yung parang dun, everything will just parang mag-flashback lahat ng kanya. It is yung simple representation of brothers and sisters actually shows us that our spirit self, everything that we have done on earth is actually recorded in spirit self. We might not be conscious about it, but it is there. And that is why when we die, we can all recall all those things, all those good things and all those bad things that we have committed. And that is when we will know that we have lived a good life. And that is when we know that we have lived a miserable life, a bad life, it was only a life that was centered only for yourself, but not for others. And that is why it says here that it is not God who judges us, but ourselves alone. Kasi tayo pa lang, alam na natin na, I have lived a very bad life. I have lived a life that is centered on myself alone. I haven't, yung mga good deeds ko is outnumbered or outweighed by the bad things that I have committed, that have accumulated over the years that I have lived my life on earth. So yun, it's very sad, brothers and sisters, right? So accordingly, you will enter the spirit world in the form of your spirit self, which has recorded your life on earth with 100% accuracy. Because, diba, we can if you think that we can deceive ourselves, we cannot, brothers and sisters. Especially when we are already spirit selves. Sometimes, iniisip ko, lalakasan ko na lang yung loob ko, sasabihin ko na, I have lived a good life, kahit alam ko hindi naman ako namuhay ng maganda. And then I haven't led a good life. So, lalakasan ko loob ko. But actually, brothers and sisters, that cannot be. Hindi yun mangyayari. Hindi yun posibleng mangyari. Kasi once we have already become spirits, physical, spirit selves, wala na eh. Yung lahat ng iniisip natin na, kaya ko itong lampasan, kaya ko yung lusutan, yung konsensya ko, kaya kong lusutan, hindi na natin yung matatakasan. So we have to really base everything once we are already in the spirit world. So once we have become spirits. So that is why, brothers and sisters, as much as possible, let us not allow ourselves to live a life centering on ourselves alone, or let us not live a life that is only focused solely on our physical lives, but as well as our spirit life. Let's be more conscious. Let's be more aware that every day is an opportunity from God, that it's an opportunity and avenue for us to do something to create more foundation for us to go to the spirit world, so that when we go to the spirit world, we will be more free, and that we can actually live with no more shadows. Yung lahat ng mga baggages na dinarating natin, yung mga, all those sins that have accumulated will be redeemed. So we can live more a freer life. So yeah, so your spirits will show plainly whether you have led a ripe life of goodness or a wormy, rotten life of sin. So you must avoid injuring or scaring your spirit self, even at the risk of your earthly life. So that is how important it is to really nurture our spiritual selves, brothers and sisters. And if we have lived a life not centering, if we have already scarred our spiritual life, it's not too late to do something about it, brothers and sisters. Let us try to redeem ourselves every day, because every day nga is an opportunity. Diba? So it's not really too late to do something good. So no matter, and let's practice every day. Kahit every day lang. By the end of the day, ask yourself at least 3 things. What are the 3 things that I have done that I did good for the day? Isipin mo, yung artistic, brothers and sisters, before you go to sleep, try doing this at least maybe every day if you can. And then in that way, magiging innate na to sa'yo. And then when you go at least, and then if you were not able to do something, at least 3 things for the day, na good thing, make it a goal that the next day you will be able to do more good things. So para there would be a lot, para may motivation ka na, today I will do more good things, because yesterday I only did one good thing, that is to wash the dishes without being asked by my parent, or that is to cook dinner without being asked by my sister, or without being asked. So yun, those things that you have done by yourself artistically, hindi naman, pero yeah, I think we can start naman with urging yourself to do something good. So yun, it's really important. I hope you understood. Ang taas yata ng lecture, napataas yata yung discussion, yung lecture ng section 6. But I hope you all have understood something from the lecture tonight, brothers and sisters. So yun, let's strive harder to really nurture and develop our spiritual selves, not only our physical self, brothers and sisters. Because if there's one thing that I want all of us to remember from this section, is that our life here on earth is just a kickstart talaga. It's just a foundation that we need for the life that we will be living in the spirit realm. So yun, isipin na lang natin na even kahit sobrang hirap ng life natin here on earth, let's not complain, but let's just do our best, continue to do our best to and work harder para because and think that when we go to the spirit self, to spirit road, we can live more freely. And then hindi na tayo maghihirap. So okay ba yun, brothers and sisters? Diba? So yun. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. I hope you all had a wonderful time and then you understood something. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. 감사합니다.
Thank you for that enlightening lecture, Miss Bell. Let's give her a round of applause. And it's question time. Question time and reflection time. So who would like to know, to throw his or her first question or his or her reflection? If we don't have any question, we will be asking you question. How about Erwin?
Kami yung magtatanong.
We will be asking you the question.
Ate, may
So
question na po.
any
May question
okay.
po si Ate Vienna.
What?
So, let me read the question. So, yan. Sabi niya, every human beings have spiritual mind. Spirit mind is the center of spirit self, and that is where God dwells. But how about those people who are atheists, or those who don't believe in God? Does God still dwells in their spirit mind, or do they have spirit mind as well? Interesting. Ulitin ko po.
You
How
want to
about...
answer that? Sige, ulitin natin.
Ulitin natin.
Yes.
So, ayun. Every human beings have spiritual mind. And then the spirit mind is the center of spiritual self, and that is where God dwells. But how about those people who are atheists, who don't believe in God? Does God still dwells in their mind or spirit mind? Or do they have spirit mind as well? And then related lang din po yung question ni Ate Faye. Yung question niya naman is, what about those who act like beasts? Yung mga masasamang tao ba to?
Like Beauty and the Beast? Ano ba yun? Yung beast na yun? Or yung the fairy tale beast? Or the beast? Or the horrible beast? Hindi naman horrible kasi si the Beauty and the Beast.
nga.
Meron lang siyang journey. Favorite ko kasi yun. Pinaka-favorite kong fairy tale. Si Belle. Si Belle pala yun. Yun yung pinaka-favorite ko. Anyway, ang gulo-gulo ko.
Ate, would you like to answer the question?
Anyone who you like to answer the question?
No, would
You?
you like to answer the question
Or-
po ba?
I would like to answer, I would like to ask somebody who would like to answer based on the lecture. May naintindihan ba kayo sa lecture namin?
Oo nga. Sisters, ano may naintindihan kayo? Kayo, if you're going to be asked by that question, anyone, mayroon ba kayong idea kung anong sagot dun? Anyone, brothers and sisters? Just an idea, kahit sino. Ano sa tingin nyo? Before the lecturers will give you the answers. Or before Kuya Herwin, before Sir Randy, before all the other lecturers will give you an answer. So kayo. Nag-raise ng hand si Kuya Mikael. Okay po, you can answer. Feel free to answer. Unmute yourselves and answer.
Okay, good evening, brothers and sisters. So I'm going to be taking a shot in the dark, pero ayun, by default we are God's creation, and within that in itself, yun nga, we already have the physical mind, physical body, and within our physical self and spiritual self, and both selves have a mind and body, and in that spirit mind we already have ano, God resides in there, and depende na lang I think sa upbringing and um multiple variables yung ano, yung pagre-resound ng ano, ng presence ni God within that ano, spirit mind. Yun lang, nagva-vary. So, kunwari, ano, you're in an atheistic environment or mas ano, more likely na ano. For example, sa America, I mean modern America, ayun, may malaking chances na an individual would be inclined to atheism as opposed to believing in God or ano, practicing any religion at all. Kaya ayun, yun lang yung isang example. Pero yeah.
Thank you so much po, Kuya
Yeah.
Miguel, that answer. Let's all give him let's all give a hand to Kuya Miguel. Good. Are there any other answers before we proceed to the lectures? Lectures, answers, brothers and sisters. Meron pa bang gustong mag-share ng kanilang idea? Oh, Ate Jenna is also raising her hand. Okay, please unmute yourselves, Ate.
Okay, so good evening po sa lahat. Good evenings to our lecturers and also our brothers and sisters who are here tonight joining the meeting and the Zoom. So, narinig po. Is it loud and clear? Okay. So, I would like to answer the question. The question is: are those people who are atheists or those people who don't believe in God, are they have a spirit mind, something like that? So yes, no. Everyone, we all have the same Creator, and every one of us comes from God. Ibig sabihin, even though they don't believe in God, it's because it's their upbringing in the family, their descendants, and also their ancestors maybe practice that tradition and believing and just like another religions before. So, but then it's not an exception that God doesn't exist in their minds or in their selves, no. So, God actually exists in every one of us, but then it depends on the level of our conscience. It depends on the level of our maturity, spiritual maturity. I'm referring to spiritual level, no? Our spiritual level. So when we are cultivated every day, we are being educated about the words of God. Syempre, andun din yung nade-develop yung spirit mind natin. But then to those people who don't have that kind of education, for example, they don't believe in God. For a lot of religions na nagsisimba sila sa ganito, and then they don't have, they are not, since bata pa sila, hindi nila kilala si Jesus Christ or si God. Ganun, so, actually, God does not just, exist in such religious terms, no. So there are a lot of this into po kasing pinag-aralan natin. This is universal principles, no. So God exists when a person feels love or he wanted to give love, receive love, then God already there, no. So that simple acts, kindness na ginagawa po ng tao, it's the work of Heavenly Parent, right? That's the work of God. So ibig sabihin, in our minds we are actually we are programmed to be good people, but because of the environment, but because of the influence outside, because of the people who are we are surrounded by, then yun ganun din, no? So a person na hindi siya magaling sa math, but then palagi niya kasama mga mathematicians, then eventually these people will become a mathematician. Diba? So just like that, and those people. So actually, that's for me. That's how I understood the question. No, so even pa gaano kasama yung tao, but still we have our conscience. Kaso lang hindi siya developed. No, our conscience sa mga tao depende din sa upbringing sa family. So hindi siya ganoon ka develop. That is why parang ang sama ng tao to, or this person is really bad, hindi niya alam yung ginagawa niya, ganyan. No, but yun na nga na we cannot judge them because it's because of their upbringings and also traditions in the family, practices. No, so yeah, so that's the thing that sure, yeah. So everything that is ano ba is universal in nature, no? Everything that is good, everything that a person feels na nasisiyahan siya within his heart or her heart, it's already the work of God. Because God is peace and love and kindness and everything that is good, it's God, no? Kaya okay, yeah. I appreciate the question. No, when I first received the principal, hindi ko na naiisip. I just wanted to receive and receive and receive. But now, I'm so happy to hear these kinds of questions also. And thank you so much. Yan lang.
Thank you so much for Ate Jenna. Let's all give her a hand for sharing to us your insights about this. Diba? It all really made us. So now let's hear the answers from our lecturers, starting with Ate Medina.
Ako?
Yes po.
Nag-release pa rin ng hand kanina si Miss Hannah eh. She may want to,
Ay, ma'am.
nag-release siya ng hand. Yes.
Ay, okay.
Yes, Miss Hannah.
Ate, naka-unmute ka po, Ate Sunhana.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, brothers and sisters. So, yeah, si Biana, kasama ko po siya dito sa Bacolod. Like, isang place lang po kami. So, ayun. Her question is if God dwells those people who are atheists, right? So, para kasi sa akin, most of the people na kilala ko na atheists, they are very smart people. Kasi, ano sila, more on science, yung mga atheists. So, mahirap silang parang, kung shallow lang yung nalalaman mo about sa religion, hindi mo sila madadala. So, kahit ganon sila, I can say God still dwells in them. Pero, like, tawag dito, like, natatabunan lang yung mindset nila sa, society. Kasi, they're very smart and more on science sila. So, yung paninindigan nila talaga is very specific. Unlike other religions teaching is like parang magic lang, ganito, ganyan. Kasi sa atin is we're very complete from the start until in the end. Gets nyo? Like, we can explain it through science and through principle, like that. And ayun lang siguro yung kulang sa sa mga atheists, kasi hindi nila makukuha yung answers na gusto nila kasi nga meron na silang paninindigan at yun yung science. So ayun, God still dwells in them. It's just that parang nadadala lang sila sa society at saka sa paninindigan nila kasi nga like more of them are matatalino. So ayun lang. Thank you.
Ate Hannah, Sunhana, for that answer. Okay, Priya.
Yeah, I appreciate your answers, but actually, religiously based on understanding about God's existence is acceptable siya. I mean, sa akin, may iba kasi hindi sa akin. So, since the principle is the unity between science and religion, can anybody explain how can you prove that God exists based on science? God exists in us, within us, based on science. So, sino
Okay, my
pwede
brothers
na-explain?
and sisters. So anybody can answer the question. Question me, Priya Herman. You can all raise your hands.
Ano?
And how can you?
Explain to us the existence of God within ourselves scientifically. Kasi kung religious explanation, 'di ba parang ano siya out of the blue. Tapos sabihin mo lang, oh, we have the spirit, we have the spirit. And then you have the spirit will existed because we have this mind. But how about scientifically? This is to prove those atheists na hindi naniniwala kay God. This is to justify and to prove to them that there's God within us. So I want to hear actually from you guys. Actually, kung may nag-rest na nga si Ate Sylvia. Yes, te, they have, ano, wag na yan, hindi na kasali yung mga lectures.
Oh,
Ano na
let's
yan eh.
hear from the ano muna, from the participants. Let's hear it from the participants
Pinag-usapan
first.
natin itong 3 hours. Ay, hindi pala 3 hours, almost 4 hours pala. May yung PTA na 1 year divine principle, and then every Friday and Saturday we study the DP. So, umaabot kami ng alas 2 ng umaga, isang beses. Just to talk about this topic, God's existence within ourselves, based on science and based on religion. So kahit hint na lang
Because
sa
when
amin.
lalabas kasi kayo, kaya niya tinatanong ni Sir Herwin yan, pag lalabas tayo, we can answer it rationally and logically sa mga nakakausap natin. Yan, di ba? So we need to have you need to have an answer. So, yun. So, yun yung pagtutulong-tulungan natin. So, we want to hear from you kung paano
Parang naging PTA
sasagot.
class Floyd. Wait lang, wala pang
Oo.
reflection. So I think this is the
Wala
last
din
question that
reflection.
we'll accept, and then we will proceed to reflection later. Ano lang, dalawa. So it's better na mas may marinig kami reflect from you guys about sa lecture. So next time, damihan nyo ng question. Prepare na kayo.
Kuya Herwin, I just like to give a hint for them
Hint
to
na
be
lang.
able to, yeah, for them to be
Sige.
able to
Sige.
think and look back on the previous chapter, because in this chapter it is clearly already said. So I think I just wanted them to look back a little bit, and then maybe they can think again. I really appreciate this budget. Oh my goodness, you're really great people. You're really brilliant people. You're very much prepared. So yeah, I am very excited to hear from all of these young people. But am I allowed to say my hint?
Sige, hint lang, te.
Okay. So I think
Hint
for
lang.
you to be able to, guys, to answer Kuya Hervin's question, I think you have to look back on the section 2. God's, yeah. What is in section 2 of
Energy.
the divine principle of
Universal
of this chapter? It talks about,
universal
yeah, universal
universal
energy.
Universal.
Okay.
position
From there, I
creation.
want you to think what,
Give
how can we be able to explain God scientifically? From that, I think that's the only thing that I want. I don't want to give more. Rather, I want just to give them to think about, and to go back to that section, so that if they may have if they can encounter such a question, same question as Kuya Herman is giving, then they may be able to give it to the person, and then this is an opportunity for you to study more. Thank you, that's all. Good evening.
Thank you po.
Okay,
Thank you po for that. You know, brothers and sisters, don't be shy. You can raise your hand and
we'll give you
answer.
1 minute, and then pag wala na. Kasi wala lang time. 1 minute to prepare and raise your hand.
I get excited with this
Oh, brothers and sisters.
weekend. Wow. I'm so happy.
Nga pala, I'd like to acknowledge all the brothers and sisters who are watching on YouTube. So thank you for, for being.
No such thing as money. There is no greed. There is no thing called greed.
Okay.
Wala. There's no such thing as night. There's no.
Okay. So, yes. Ako, actually guys, ako yung nag-lecture nito eh. So, Section 2, Universal Prime Energy Given Action and Purposes Foundation. Sa Section 2 kasi, may question pa rin ako doon. Hindi pa rin ako satisfied doon. Kahit binasa ko sa principle. But to prove that God exists scientifically is to show the creation, di ba? Ipatingin sa kanila yung may pattern kasi. Every, like flowers, tapos pag punta ka sa mga natures ng ocean, may pattern siya. And then, based on my experience in America, I met a lot of atheists. There are two kinds of atheists actually. Yung isa, naniwala kay God, pero he keep denying the existence of God kasi it's because sa mga nakikita niya. Yung isa naman, hindi talaga naniwala kay God. But I proved this one thing, that God exists based on those pictures. Sa mga, sa creation, sa divine principle naman sinabi yun that we can understand, even in the Bible, you can understand the creation, that God exists, the creator, the invisible God, through the creation, the created beings. So yun, ipakita mo sa kanila. And then after that, you have to explain about the universal prime energy. Kasi lahat ng bagay na exist is because of that energy. Kung walang energy, walang ma-exist kahit smallest particle matter pa, kahit atoms pa yan, kahit, yeah. So, doon nag-i-start that there is God. Pero ngayon nga, titingnan mo yung creation. And doon we realize, this is section 2 actually. I'm giving it another lecture. But that is to justify, section 2, that is to justify that God exists based on those energy, positive and negative. If you ask this to the scientists, bakit merong ganun? They cannot answer actually. Alam lang nila na nag-exist yan, but the question is why? Yun ang hindi nila masagot. So I hope na as some of you may encounter like those atheists. Actually, hindi ko gusto yung atheists dito sa Pilipinas eh. Ano ba? Philosopher masyado. Hindi sila, unlike America, I like America actually. They are very open. When you talk to them, sabi ko sa kanya, are you an atheist? Yes, I don't believe in God, but I believe in something spiritual. Some of them, sinabi nila, I believe something higher being, but not God that believe in different religions. So yun, they still believe in something, in spiritual being, but not the God that we are talking about. Pero actually, ganun din naman yun. Yung isa, hindi talaga naniniwala. Yun nga, you have to prove to them through those evidences sa paligid natin that there is someone who created these things. Hinahanap ko yung picture, hindi ko mahanap. Ipakita ko sana sa inyo. Yung picture na it proves that there's higher being na nag-exist even before sa atin who created us. So yun, for more, basahin nyo lang ulit yung section 2, Universal Prime Energy. And pag-aralan nyo yung mga energy, yung mga harmony between those positive and negative. And female like that. So yan. Pero yeah, religiously, madali lang i-explain kasi yun na yung nakasanayan natin. But how about scientifically? But anyway, we didn't have much time. We talked this one almost 4 hours, and we cannot. This is just the hint to explain, like briefly, that God exists. Religiously and scientific explanation. So 4 hours, then dito lang ilang 5 minutes lang. So please understand that, and I hope naintindihan nyo rin. Okay, yeah. Sayang walang reflection. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much din po, Kuya Herwin. Let's all
Ayun,
give
naintindihan
to
talaga.
Kuya Herwin, brothers and sisters. Diba? So yun, let's all review, brothers and sisters. Let's not, hindi porket tapos na yung lecture, hindi na natin i-review. Let's all, as much as possible, review all the lectures. After hearing them, take down notes. Yun, brothers and sisters. So because yung questions natin, it can all go back kasi connected yung when we learn about divine principle, it's actually a series, it's a collection of information, and hindi lang siya standalone na mga information. So lahat, it will all go back to chapter 1 talaga. So yan, let's all be equipped to this one.
Ay, may sinabi, paano daw malaman yung energy ni God within ourselves? Sorry, hindi ko nasagot yun. Ayun, sorry, nakalimutan ko. Short lang kasi siya eh. Short time. But how do we know that God existed within us scientifically? Thank you sa nagpahabol. Okay. Paano natin malaman na exist si God and explain it scientifically? Same. The energy from the very beginning passed down to us. Pinapasa sa atin. The universal prime energy, God is the beginning, and then the subject and object. The DNA of God. Parang yun yung DNA ni God na pinapasa sa atin. So it means, may dugo sa atin si God. But the problem is, ang pinaka-center sa atin, who? Yung si Satan kasi. But it should be supposed to be God. Pero, whether we are atheist or not, God is within us. As long as we have this original mind. Pero meron naman tayong original mind. Ang ano lang, hindi malakas. So, God existed scientifically is because the energy was given to us from God. Religiously, ayun, mapahaba na. Sorry, okay. But kasi short lang ng oras natin. But anyway. We want to hear a reflection, at least one. So 1:10 matatapos tayo. At least one.
Sige.
Once
We will
one.
be spinning na lang po. Para mag-delay.
Okay.
Okay, let's spin. I have prepared spinning wheel of names. So yun. Okay, let's all. Okay, roulette. Let's hear from and then the prepared person is Ate Catherine. 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's all welcome Ate Catherine, brothers and sisters. Welcome, Ate Catherine. Nandito ba siya?
Wala.
Ay, nasa YouTube. Okay. Sige. Let's spin another one. Who's here with us? Okay. Okay, let's all welcome brothers and sisters. Day3. Got in?
Wala.
Oh, okay. Another one. Hopefully the last one. Oh, welcome, Ate Roche. Nandito po si Ate Roche.
Yes po. Ayan. Okay, good evening po. Okay. Naririnig po ba ako?
Yes po.
Okay po. Ayan. My God. So, napaisip din ako dun sa question kanina. So, since, yung lecture is about, yung the growing period. So, we have the formation and the growth and the completion. So, I think as myself, so I belong pa sa formation stage. So that's how I can to how myself to be to live according to God or to connected to God. So since ang hindi madaling parang mabuhay na naka-center kay God kasi yun nga, every one of us, we commit mistakes. So, or sin. So, how can I become an object or yeah. Wait lang, kinakabahan ako. Okay, then as lagi kong sa lecture, lagi kong iniisip yung yung pinagkaiba ng direct dominion at saka indirect dominion. So doon talaga ako nakinig ng para maintindihan ko kung ano yung pinagkaiba nila, 'di ba? Kasi ayan, and since this time para na ako na the direct dominion is, we live, God give us the, for God give us the principle. And as we, human being, as me, as an individual, how can I fulfill my responsibility or portion of responsibility? Okay, especially, as I know the principle, how can I apply it to myself? Okay, and then how can I take care the creation of our God, our Heavenly Father or God? Then, the direct dominion naman is yung, it can be united through love. So, ayan. Yun yung talaga, pinukusan ko talaga kanina kasi yun talaga yung parang hindi ko siya masyadong, kahit ilang beses na ako naka-attend ng ng seminar. So, since ngayon parang naano ko na siya, na intindihan. So, ayun, dahil dati kasi always kong tinatanong na bakit 'di ba dati nga kasi si God binigyan niya ng si Adam and Eve na parang okay, bawal niyo tong gawin, and then why did God not hindi nakialam? So because of portion of responsibility. So parang ganun din, lagi kong this is something na parang inaano ko sa sarili ko na if I have my brothers and sisters na if I say, okay, sinasabihan ko na dapat bawal mo tong gawin, and then she has or he has a responsibility to follow or not. So at least he or she know what I said. So she has the responsibility. So parang sa akin yun. So kaya always na ko ng okay, I know the principle but I did mistake. So ibig sabihin, I take the responsibility. So ayun, parang ang hirap mag take ng responsibility, right? Pero as long as I live that God give me life, so ayun, paano ko ma-fulfill ang responsibility ko habang nandito pa sa physical world. And then ayun, yung pinag-uusapan natin is about the spirit self and the physical self. So, ito laging tumatatak sa isip ko, no? Kasi, meron tayong, how our spirit self to grow. So, lagi ko lang talagang tinatatak, and then parang sabi ko, siguro kabilang din ako ng atheist, ganun. Kasi, lagi kong iniisip na, okay, God really exists, but, sabi nga nila, your spirit decide whether you are in heaven or in hell. So, you as yourself, Ako. As long as, kasi tumatak talaga sa isip ko na as long as I live for the good, so parang wala akong ginagawang masama sa kapwa ko. So, ibig sabihin, parang kahit ano yung ano nyo sa akin, iba to, then ako na walang ginagawa sa inyo. So, ibig sabihin, yun yung mabuting ginawa ko. Parang hindi ako nangingialam ng mga taong ano, yung parang hindi ko pinapakialaman yung tao kung ano man ang kanilang ginagawa sa buhay nila. So, as long as I live na wala akong tinatapakan na tao. So, parang ganun yung kasi, yeah, we know that God, doing goodness is God characteristics, right? Or yung gawain na naka-center kay God. So, yeah, in our everyday life na yun lang ang lagi kong iniisip na did I really live for God's sake or for other people's sake? Yung parang ganun. Kasi dahil lalong yung tumatatak sa isip ko na okay, bahala sila kasi parang bahala sila as long as na wala akong ginagawang masama. Yung parang ganun. So, lagi ako nagre-reflect sa sarili ko na did I really also live for the sake of others? Yung parang ganun. So, ayun po. And then, yeah, I try myself na masabi ko sa sarili ko na I'm not that spiritually, parang grow. Yung parang still applying the principle sa sarili ko sa araw-araw na pamumuhay ko. So, ayan, hindi ako yung tao kasing yung parang tipong sabi nga nila, may mga taong maka-Diyos, ganun. So, yeah, I believe God. Yeah, I really believe God. And then, yeah, this time, I'm still, kaya hindi rin, isa din sa reason na I didn't apply for matching yet because I know as myself na parang hindi pa totally prepared spiritually and physically. So, ang spirit self ko is not that much grow. So, I really wanted to grow more spiritually and physically. Kasi, yeah, I always ask na parang hindi ko alam kung bakit na gusto ko kung mag-apply man ako ng matching. So, I really wish kay God. Alam mo, kasi alam ko sa sarili ko ay na I'm not spiritually nga strong. So, I really, if mag-apply ako ng matching, I wanted to be more on, yung mamatch sa akin is more strong pa sa akin spiritually. So, that yun nga po, para mag-grow din yung both side na spirit, yung spirit self ko. So, ayun, brothers and sisters, for me, sa sarili ko, yeah, I'm still, growing spiritually and physically and practicing the principle that has our true parents give to us or our Heavenly Father given to us. So, yeah, I try to fulfill my responsibility as an individual. How can I be matured enough in knowing the responsibility. Okay, that's all, brothers and sisters.
Miss Rose, pwedeng tanungin, would you mind? Ano yung
Yes po.
spiritual age mo? Right now, you're
po?
like spiritual
So,
age.
po siya?
Spiritual age muna pala.
Spiritual age. Okay. Since kasi ate, yung parang, yeah, I meet the church kasi yun nga, member si uncle. So, I started to do hondoki po since I'm grade 4. But, parang kinonsider ko yung sarili ko na my spiritual birth is during I received the 7 days seminar po since 2010 po. So, yun. And then,
How old are you? Physical age mo ngayon? Okay lang ba na malaman ko?
Yes po.
Ay, malaman
Physical.
din. Sige po. Malaman din.
Physical po, physical age or po, yung tanong ulit.
Yes po.
Okay, by the way po, I'm 29 years old po, coming 29 years old. And then, ayun po.
Okay.
So,
Sige, bata ka pa.
yeah,
pero,
marami pa. Mag-grow pa
pero
ko.
yung pero yung marryable age daw is the best is 25. Sa secular
Yes
yan,
po.
pero sabi ni father nga 19 years old. Diba? Ganun. So, yun yun. As long as ano ba yun? Yung katulad ng sinabi ko sa iba, kasi kung maghihintay ka na maging ready ka, at saka maghihintay ka na ma-perfect ka, hindi kailanman hindi ka makaka-receive ng blessing because it would take a lifetime for you to be able to attain perfection because ang problem kasi natin ngayon, minority of minority tayo. Konti pa lang tayo and we are living pa rin sa secular world. So there will be so many obstacles na marireceive mo natin para maging perfect tayo. So that's the reason why it's better that you apply for the matching and then para may kasama kang to grow into perfection yun. So for as long na you commit yourself to study the principle and to learn it more every day, every week, meron kang natututunan. Mas maganda na may kasama ka na matututunan and yun lang yung pwede kong sabihin yun. About yung mga iba mong tanong, uh, masasagot yan sa part 2, introduction, tapos yung isa naman, section 3, yung isa is yung purpose of the creation. Meron kang sinasabi kanina na it has something to do with the purpose of the creation. So, masasagot mo yun doon. If you, study more uh, deeply, yun. I-review mo na lang yun. Yung mga ibang question. Based sa reflection. Thank you, Miss Roach. Sa reflection.
Ayun, sorry po. Nawala yung connection.
Okay lang.
Yes po. Nawala yung internet ko po. Kaya na-leave.
So, it's narinig yung sinabi ko.
Hindi po.
Hindi mo narinig yung sinabi ko.
Yes po, kasi kaka-join ko lang ulit. Kasi nawala po yung internet.
Review mo na lang sa YouTube, te.
Yes po.
Wala na tayong time.
Review mo na lang kasi
Pag 10:30 na, so, kaya nyo ba? Kaya namin.
17 minutes na tayo. Tayong overtime.
Oo nga. So,
Diba
since
meron tayong event tomorrow? Yes. Yes, okay.
So to extend back, we have to end it now, na brothers and sisters. We can discuss further on our next meeting, which is on Wednesday. Okay? So kung may iba pang gustong humabol, next time na lang ulit. Okay? Thank you so much sa participation. Sorry for sa overtime. Although ang ganda ng discussion and exchange natin ngayon, brothers and sisters. So to formally end the program and then the session that we have today, may I ask one of our participants to give us the closing prayer? May I request Ate Nelji to
Sino? LG.
Ate Nelji?
Oh my God, di ako limit Good evening, Heavenly Parents, parents, true parents of heaven, earth, and mankind. Lord, thank you for this day, Heavenly Parents. And Heavenly Parents, we are so very thankful for this day, Heavenly Parents, that you have given to us, and for the blessings that we have received for this day, Heavenly Parents. And Heavenly Parents, thank you for guiding us this day, Heavenly Parents, for all the lectures, Heavenly Parents, and Heavenly Parents. We're hoping, Heavenly Parents, that the lectures, Heavenly Parents, will embed into our life, Heavenly Parents. And Heavenly Parents, we're so very sorry for all the just Heavenly Parents, for the shortcomings that have done to you, Heavenly Parents. And Heavenly Parents, as we go to sleep tonight, Heavenly Parents, please guide us, Heavenly Parents, and Heavenly Parents, will guide all the frontliners, Heavenly Parents, especially to our brothers and sisters, those who work in the front line, Heavenly Parents, please guide them always, Heavenly Parents. Heavenly Parents, this is all I ask, our Heavenly Parents, true friends of heaven, earth, humankind. Adieu.
Andrew, thank you so much po. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters, for tonight. Let's all give a hand to everyone who are here. Thank you so much for staying. And yeah, congratulations, brothers and sisters. Tapos na tayo. We are on our third day. So I hope to see all of you again on the next succeeding days. Okay? Kapit lang, brothers and sisters.
See you next
So thank you so
meeting.
much, brothers and sisters alert.
Third day pa lang tayo,
So
mainit
ay,
na.
oo nga pala, brothers and sisters. Before you go, don't forget to submit your reflections as well. Let reflections, and if you have questions, you can put your questions also there. Para naman, we can discuss it if we have time, if we have extra time. Okay? So yun lang, brothers and sisters. I hope you enjoyed and you learned a lot from tonight. So you may now leave. Ay, may iba pa bang announcement, Kuya Herwin? Wala na po.
Advanced study. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, ate. Sino ba yung nag
Thank you, brothers and
Good night po sa
si
lahat.
Ate Rochi yung nag-reflect.
Thank you so
Yung link po
much.
ng,
Good night, everyone.
the link will be sent to the group chat. Okay? So just stay tuned to group chat, brothers and sisters. Good night, everyone. Good night. Well, thank you, Let.
Sir Erwin, anong oras yung event natin tomorrow?
Yeah, anong oras daw? Hindi mo alam?
Tomorrow po?
8:30.
Ano
8:30
po?
po, yeah.
8:30. Tapos may ano ba?
May 2-1 po
Pero
yata pero selected po. Sa atin ay live lang yata tayo.
8:30 pero meron munang devotion natin.
Walang ano te. National. Individual.
Sige.
Walang national morning.
Maghahanap.
Pwede
Walang
naman tayo.
devotion? Walang morning devotion, sir?
Meron tayong morning devotion pero sa
Meron
kanya po.
individual. Okay.
Individual.
Hindi
Wala tayong masyadong oras, di ba? Maganda sana yung pag they can reflect more. Yung they can, yun ang ano.
Bye-bye.
Bye.